Yo, I'm blowing up. Look, 20,000 views on my last video. That's a new record. But this video, I got even more for you. Scientists have built a two-legged robot that actually cheats by also being a quadrocopter on top. Unexpectedly, an entire genre of baby ninjas has emerged thanks to artificial intelligence generated video. There's also a new trend to use ChatGPT to roleplay as somebody who's wronged you and have them apologize to you. I hear it's very gratifying. Roleplay as James Cameron and apologize for all the Avatar movies. That's what I'm talking about. I wanted to make a cinematic experience, but if it felt like a quote glorified screensaver to anyone, that was not the intention. It just feels so good. I've really started liking some of the videos AI search is publishing on YouTube. We're talking about 3D heads, full motion control, and text to audio. 2025 has already been like the Swiss Army knife of AI generated content. And it's worth talking about and trying to get our head around. Also, it's day one of CES today, and Samsung tackling the world's laundry with artificial intelligence is actually a big thing. We're going to talk about the 5 things to know about reimagining the laundry experience. This is basically the part of the Terminator movies they didn't go into much detail about.
I need your clothes.
Another week of really interesting research coming out of Meta. They have proposed a new scalable memory layer, which improves knowledge and reduces hallucinations. There's a new word that I just learned, and you should too. It is called lithocholic acid. It is made naturally by the bacteria in our guts, and researchers are making a pretty good argument that it may be the trigger to age-defying potential lifespan extending health benefits. Let's go. So artificial intelligence models are getting pretty good at phishing. They're succeeding at an alarming rate. There's a new machine learning upgrade that lets computer vision see really well in pretty close to complete black darkness. Well lit, poorly lit, low lit. It's called a SPAD camera, and it's revolutionizing low light imaging with photon counting. Philosophy Today wrote an article called Trust and the Metaphysics of Groups. Do we trust groups or individuals? Has some fascinating things to ponder. Meta dropped fact-checking today, decided to lean into political echo chambers. Look, I've been saying separate the algorithm from the platform for a while. Give me a choice of what the algorithm does. I would love that. And there's some new research that talks about weaponizing disinformation. Turns out that can pose a serious threat. We'll think about what that means for the world. But first, if you want to support my humble YouTube endeavor, you can go over to patreon.com/DylanCurious. Click join for $6.99 a month. You can support content just like this. I'll make sure to make all of it as free as possible. You're supporting a growing creator, doing what they love. Would really appreciate it. So first off, let's talk about quadrocopters attached to bipedal robots. As awkward as it looks, I could imagine how it would be one of the many types of robots that we're going to see all the time in our future. I mean, look, nature already invented the ostrich, and like, look at how good that did. Hold on, let me do a quick check. Is the ostrich considered a pretty successful animal in terms of evolution? Yeah, see, there you go. Flightless, but fast. And they've got efficient reproduction. Not really sure how efficient the replication will be on this robot, but you might outpace the ostrich one day. What do you think of those hops? I mean, just like a helicopter, tilt that thing forward, and instead of going up, it goes forward. And if those legs can keep up with it, that thing could be running at you at full speed to deliver an Amazon package or something. The diaper dynamo has met the Kung Fu Panda thanks to artificial intelligence. It is a epic clash of strength, skill, and cuteness overload. But this time, our tiny hero, the Hyper Dynamo, is breaking a sweat to keep up with Panda's smooth moves and bamboo strikes. I'm not saying it's good content, I'm just saying that I can't look away. Diabolical Little Rat asks, is this real? Based on the shadows and reflections, I would say it's real. Because therapy is expensive, there's a new trend to use ChatGPT in a way that actually apologizes and role plays the people who have hurt you the most.
Hi, if you want to hurt your feelings, you should go into ChatGPT and ask it to roleplay between you and a specific person that you have significant problems with, and then ask them to write an apology on behalf of that person. I was not ready for that kind of catharsis, and I know that person is never going to apologize to me, but ooh!
All right, so Babs McGabs put this up on Instagram. I think she's recommending people do it, but also kind of seems like it was hard on her. I'm not sure. You can see in the comments, people are like, how do you feed ChatGPT the texts for it to roleplay better? I mean, I'm not going to recommend you upload text that other people wrote you, assuming it was going to be private, but you could describe the person and you could have them role play as it. I mean, I don't see why that would be necessarily unhealthy. I mean, I've heard of people role playing a lot with tools like ChatGPT to do job interviews before they do them, to imagine public speaking, to let their, parents know that they're coming out of the closet and stuff like that. And I understand like therapy and doctors and things are specifically for experts, and you shouldn't just be like using ChatGPT like an expert that way. But I do think there is both the risk and reward to treat these things like superhuman communicators for everybody. So said that I've used ChatGPT just to comfort me and tell me my feelings are valid when it's something I feel I can't share with others. The reply is me too. It seems healthy to me. I don't know. Real people probably better, but if you don't have that option, maybe. Okay, so I found out about this paper from AI Search. It is called 3D Traj Master. Okay, and here's what's mind-blowing about this project, something I really haven't seen done yet. We've seen video generators from text, right? So a koala with a body covered in soft gray fur or whatever. But you also submit these little, they're cameras. Like if you ever worked with a 3D environment, that's the shape of how they describe the cameras, just for figuring out like XYZ coordinate systems on it. It combines those two things to make realistic, well, fairly realistic, not Sora level, but it's kind of on that track, video where the characters actually follow that path. And that's unbelievably useful. If you're creating content and you imagine yourself as sort of this Hollywood director that's using AI tools, now you can actually go into a 3D program, something like Cinema 4D, Maya, 3D Studio Max, Blender, whatever, and then track what you want the character to do. Then come over to a tool like this, and this is still in the research phase, but it's coming really soon, and then describe what should happen in the scene. Or maybe they would incorporate something like this into a 3D renderer, and on export, you would see the diffusion model come together. But really unique work coming out of the Chinese University of Hong Kong. Okay, the next paper that he covers is this one called Gen HMR, Generative Human Mesh Recovery. Even more mind-blowing. Just being honest, this is the reverse of what it is. Now we're looking at a 2D video, and the AI is picking up the 3D characteristics, the depth of how the people are moving. And the methodology is fascinating. So it basically takes a single frame. It can identify where the person is. It decides based on what it's been trained on, if the person's facing in a certain direction, potentially how their arms are moving, head's about to move, makes predictions about what's next, then gets the next frame, checks it against its prediction, throws out all the others, does it over and over and over and over again. And all of a sudden it is learning the full 3D depth map from these 2D images. I mean, look at how well it's doing with this guy running across from the line. I remember that movie. Oh, that was an incredible movie, by the way, too. Yeah, he's trying to deliver that message to bring everybody back right before they go into a trap. As a side note, but look, the Flash, an Olympic race, the long ski jump, even this basketball scene with all of these different people. See, now you could really take this exact basketball game, you have the 3D information, feed it into that other model that we just saw, change the text prompt, and it's going to remember the characters moving in these positions. And now you're just like, who knows what's possible? You could just film your friends moving the way that you really want. And then boom, you have 3D mappings of it. And then you send that to another diffusion model. Just incredible. All right, I don't know how much mind-blowing AI tech you can handle in one video, but we're going to talk about completely reimagining the laundry experience. Laundry as we know it may be a thing of the past. They'll look back to 2025 and be like, oh my God, that's what they used to do back then? Take their clothes off, put it in a laundry basket, put it in the washer, add the stuff, then the dryer, and then fold it while they listen to podcasts. Ugh, so uncivilized. At least that's what the famous tech company Samsung is hoping you'll be thinking. This is actually on news.samsung.com. It is the 5 things to know about reimagining the laundry experience. Look at this AI wash and dry. AI used to sense how much water is being used. AI that checks the soil levels, like how clean the water is and how goopy it is. Probably camera vision. I don't know. And then it can drop in just the right amount of detergent based on an AI calculation. And don't even get me started on AI drying. Samsung, Next level. Oh, were you hoping to talk to your washing machine like ChatGPT style with voice control? Yeah, who needs buttons? You just talk to it. Hey, can you do the laundry now, Mr. Machine, Mr. Washing Machine? No problemo, Dylan Curious. You done yet? I'll have it done in 7 minutes. You tell me facts about hamsters to kill time along the way? Sure, hamsters range from 2 to 6 inches. And they have expandable cheek pouches. Then boom, before you know it, laundry is done. $5 says it has a credit card built into it also. I can connect to Amazon and get you your laundry detergent. Be careful giving AI your credit card. You know how that could turn out. So new research, Meta's proposing this new scalable memory layers we should talk about. Is pretty innovative stuff. So we talk about these models having all of these parameters, sometimes 80 billion, 50 billion, 5 billion. The parameters are also in layers. The more layers something has, kind of in theory, the more complicated of a something that it can learn, but also the harder it is for backpropagation to stay accurate and for the whole model to stay coherent. But they're saying throw in some of these sparse layers, like layers that don't just contain all that information, but they're meant just to target, kind of hone in on certain things that are more valuable than other things, but be really good at that and not good at other things. And then you can get more out of a GPU. And it seems like the result is that it can now store these vast amounts of knowledge while maintaining speed, especially on inference. When tested, according to their research, memory-enhanced models performed as well or better than traditional models, and they used fewer resources, and they also excelled at tasks that need factual knowledge. Less hallucinations on top of it. It's actually a pretty good idea for balancing power and efficiency in AI, and it sort of challenges that bigger is always better mindset that we're kind of going through, where like maybe you just scale your way all the way to ASI. Okay, I got the first of 2 new molecules to talk to you about. Singularity Hub posted this. This molecule mimics the anti-aging effects of dieting, but without the hunger. And we're not talking about GLP-1 here. What if we could package up the longevity effects of dieting in a pill? Who would want to buy that? Some kind of a pill that makes you skinnier, live longer, be healthier? Take my money. Instant billion-dollar company. Okay, so here's the facts. Calorie restriction seems to work in extending lifespan. Works in pretty much every animal we've tested it in. And it seems like research is showing that the human body is just really good at self-regulation. It seems to burn about the same amount of calories, whether you're like running or resting, and it just has all these amazing ways to kind of offset its own energy. One of the reasons why dieting in the long term is tough, but researchers may have found a cheat code. It is a molecule, which I may not be pronouncing right, but lithocolic acid, LCA. It is already found naturally in our gut, so I am excited about this. LCA mimics calorie restriction benefits without the hunger. In these new studies, it seems like it extends the lifespan of worms, and it also boosted their metabolism, muscle strength, and energy in mice. Of course, there's no proof that it's going to work in humans yet. And, you know, there's a side effect that says high doses could be toxic. So not sure we're going to get human studies right away. Still, I think it's worth knowing about. I got a feeling it will be the new rapamycin or GLP-1, you know, of 2025. Something where a lot of people are like, hey, a few people probably experimenting with it, and a bunch of other people being like, don't experiment with it yet, but let's do some more research on it. Especially the fact that it's already made naturally by bacteria in our guts. 2025 is maybe the year we should really start being worried about AI phishing scams. So published on Less Wrong, the TLDR is that they ran a human subject study on whether language models can successfully spearfish people. So this is the kind of thing where you look somebody up on LinkedIn, you find out their position in the company, you pretend to be that person, talk to somebody who they might be the manager of to like give up information, stuff like that. So first off, it's scary because AI agents, they could scale infinitely. It looks like AI spear phishing is highly effective. They received a click-through rate of more than 50%, significantly outperforming the control group. Because large language models scale so well, it's super cost efficient, reduces costs by 50 times compared to manual attacks. Basically, everybody has so much stuff on the internet, and AI models are highly capable of gathering open source intelligence that 88% of people could be targeted. Only 4% of the generated profiles contained inaccurate information. And if you're thinking the safety guardrails that are built into Claude and GPT were helpful in stopping this kind of activity, they are arguing that they pretty much weren't. All right, so if you thought being in the dark could help you hide from AI computer vision, you would have been right up until now. Turns out there's new iPhone LiDAR tech that dramatically improves machine vision even in darkness. So new tech with its roots from MIT students basically is the stuff Batman has dreamed of. So this takes an iPhone's LiDAR tech to the next level by using something called SPADE. SPAD is the acronym. It stands for Single Photon Avalanche Diode. Basically, the sensor is built to tackle the limits of traditional cameras. Their tech processes photon-level data, letting machines see clearly in lighting that is nearly pitch dark. But it also works all the way up the spectrum. Bright sun, fast motion, you name it. So this SPAD hardware / software is totally a breakthrough. It was showcased at CES this year, promises big improvements for machine vision in industries like autonomous vehicles. Oh my gosh, I wish Teslas had LiDAR on them. They could probably take advantage of this. It's all right. They'll run on camera vision alone. But if you want to start playing with it, it's open source. They're rolling out a development kit called Flare. You should be able to download it, I guess, as of now. And it's like I kind of knew this day was coming. We just have eyes that are for us, right? Like our eyes evolved for the history of the human evolution. Basically, the kind of foods and whatever passed on our genes that the color sensors mattered. But the ones that didn't, that's why we don't see ultraviolet. And you see a lot of creatures in nature that have bigger eyes than us that see better in the dark. But because AI is AI, it can also learn from things like LiDAR. It can combine multimodalities in ways that we can't. And it's interesting to see something like this SPAD sensor being maybe built into autonomous vehicles and next generation advanced imaging systems. Okay, so I got some thoughtful comments from Philosophy Today. It is called Trust in the Metaphysics of Groups. Oh, I forgot what metaphysics means exactly. Let me check that. Metaphysics, the branch of philosophy that explores the fundamental nature of reality, existence, and the universe. Got it. Yeah, nature of reality. Trust in the nature of reality of groups. Okay, so there's this concept that's been bubbling around in my head a lot for the last kind of couple years, and I feel like this article sort of nailed it. I think sometimes there's big organizations and groups, and it's in their best interest to blame people for individual willpower fails. Okay, like I'm reading this book called Ultra Processed Humans or something. It's about like food and how people are usually told like avoid fast food or need to go to the gym, but there's still systems in place that like put it in front of you, that advertise to children. You know, it's like we're so individualistic as an American society that we just tend to just blame the individual. But there's truth in that, but there's also truth in the system could make life easier. And maybe should be responsible, especially in places where they make the money for selling the bad fast food, but then they don't have to pay for the healthcare costs when people get sick. Or companies that develop chemicals and they sell those chemicals and make the money, but the byproducts go into the water and then basically taxes have to clean up the water. That's publicly paying for the backside of it, but privately taking the profits. So this whole piece revolves around whether or not we trust groups. And it goes into a lot of different concepts like juries, banks, pop bands. Do we trust them as single, over and above entities, or is our trust really directed at the individual members who make up the group? So imagine a courtroom setting just to set the stage for you. Like a victim has their outrage for what happened and they're directing it at the jury as a whole, not individual members. They're thinking about that as a collective body. The body is going to make the intelligent decision, not the individual. Same goes for companies, organizations, Tesla, Facebook. But then sometimes it's about Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg. And it kind of depends on how you want to frame it, depending on what your agenda is when you make a point. So the article is just fascinating. I mean, this piece talks about how there's data showing that we trust banks differently than we trust bankers. The bank is made up of the bankers, but it's more than that. Has a different feeling in our brain. But it means that we lump multiple individual or single people into, quote, trusted or not trusted entities. Yeah, and the bottom line is this is just a result of how complicated the world's getting. We used to be in tribes, maybe 150 people. Most of our ancestors were in small groups. Only occasionally did groups kind of overlap. It was much more manageable than a world with billions of people and soon to be maybe trillions of agents, millions of companies, billions of well, probably billions of groups of some kind, churches, schools, activities, teams, sports teams. All right, and then moving on to how would we actually rate, review, try to curate what kind of content comes out of these groups, the kind of self-forming networks, especially on social media that happen, how there's tipping points in groups, there's outrage in groups. How in the future will we address that? As Meta and their CEO Mark Zuckerberg have put out a new statement, more speech and fewer mistakes.
It's time to get back to our roots around free expression on Facebook and Instagram. Governments and legacy media have pushed to censor more and more. A lot of this is clearly political, and we've reached a point where it's just too many mistakes and too much censorship. The recent elections also feel like a cultural tipping point towards once again prioritizing speech and restoring free expression on our platforms. First, we're going to get rid of fact checkers and replace them with community notes, similar to X, starting in the US.
Okay, so if you're not familiar, which I wasn't, Community Notes is a feature. It was originally called Birdwatch when it was Twitter, and it was designed to crowdsource context and fact-checking on social media posts. So basically, Community Notes invites users themselves to add informative explanations, corrections, or clarifications to a tweet that might be misleading or missing context, rather than a centralized authority or even a third-party moderation team like the way Facebook was doing it. So the benefits are, I guess, that as a society, we kind of determine like what is something that's just okay and what isn't, and I guess this is not that different from like Wikipedia's model. Just trust people to do it. I mean, anybody can sign up. It's an opt-in system to be somebody who can contribute to community notes. There's sort of a peer review system. There's reputation mechanisms, and there's an incentive for accuracy. So we'll have to see if Meta abruptly ending their third-party fact-checking right before the Trump term is going to be good or bad for politics. That'll be up for us to decide over the next 4 years, I guess. And adding one more layer to this conversation, there was a study that was just published in Reliability, Engineering, and System Safety, not a journal that I quote from very much, but it is about weaponizing disinformation. In this case, it was meant to understand how it could pose a serious threat to the urban transit system. I think there's a lot of things in here that can be thought of much bigger than just that problem. So this is the official paper published in Science Direct, a hybrid machine learning and simulation framework for modeling and understanding disinformation, induced disruptions in public transit systems. And the quick rundown is that you might have heard how like a lie can be around the world before the truth can even put its shoes on. This piece is about how fake reports and rumors can seriously mess up our urban transit systems. But basically, even if there's like a single post and it's fake, but it's about a bomb threat or an abandoned suitcase, it can lead to a station closure and then total chaos for all of the people that are traveling through that station. And the ripple effects go all the way down the transit system. And it's interesting the way it was done too, because the researchers, University of Oklahoma, they were using an AI model to show that these low budget misinformation attacks can cause ripple effects in a way that racks up these insane commuter delays and forces a bunch of folks to basically dig deeper into their wallets for alternate rides. It can cost so much money to the transit system, to the people in terms of time, and it doesn't seem avoidable, does it? Like, we can so easily become pawns of fear. And I mean, I don't blame anyone. Like, if I knew there was something risky going on in a transit system or it was closed, and like, it's the responsible thing to close it if somebody calls in and says there's a threat or there is some abandoned suitcase, because what if it is real and what if you do ignore it? But with big cities where everybody's always on edge, and then media that can make things up really quickly and they can go viral, it just reminds me that it's not just about having good tech or great security. We have to have skepticism, but we can't just be like, that's fake, so I'll believe this other group. Like, you have to disbelieve both groups. Maybe we have to get good at holding like multiple opinions in our head, realizing that they both could be right, they're both valid. We might have one that we lean towards, but not to like hate on the other or just pick one. I don't know. I don't really have a good solution to it, but it does seem like something worth thinking about. This is Patreon/Dylan Curious. If you want to support content like this, join the 80 members, maybe help me get to $200 a month. Sign up for a membership. Any of the tiers are great. Another alternative, if you're already using YouTube Red or have your credit card in the Google system, is you can just press this join button right here, and you can join this fine group of folks. And they both support the channel, so either one works for me. Also, you're getting in on a growing channel, at least today. I gotta knock on wood before I get too complacent. But look, my average views that are typical in the first 21 hours are 4,000 to 6,000, and now this video has 21,000 views. That's crazy. If I had 5 videos like that, that would be 100,000 views. That's a stadium full of people. I got 400 new subscribers. Like, I honestly think we're gonna hit 20,000 subscribers by the end of the month. I mean, that could even be sort of an underestimate. 19.6, we only need 400 to go. If we just had 1 or 2 more videos this big, or at least if I'm just making them all month like. All right, it's nice to know that the future of hula hooping is secure. You're going into the song. What if the 1960s Valentine Michael Smith Stranger in the Land returned today? I have no idea what that means, but I'll ChatGPT it while I'm making this song. Yeah, that court thing is a thing. I have a friend that does that for lawyers now. He started out in the wedding business doing receptions, bars, mitzvahs, then graduated to doing graphics for lawyers to use in trials. He's making a fortune. Dang. Ooh, what kind of song do you think we should make out of these lyrics? Doo-whoop? Doo-wop? Chinese folk? Or psychedelic soul? I feel like these genres didn't exist when I was younger. Like doo-wop, doo-wop. Is that what that is? I don't know. Let's find out. Okay, who or what is Valentine Michael Smith, Stranger in a Strange Land? Oh, he's the protagonist in a science fiction novel, a human raised by Martians, then brought to Earth as an adult. It sounds like a cool story. Oh, if you like that, you also might find these comics fun. Have you guys ever heard of Strange Planet? It's like aliens here on Earth. Now you possess this, so unnecessary. I want to observe concealment destruction. Now, destroy the concealment. It's so beautiful. Destroy it now. I want to observe. Okay. So funny. All right, our Baby Ninja song is prepared. Doo-wop, the Dylan Curious AI comment section edition. I present to you.
It's nice to know that the future of hula hooping is secure. So cute, so cute. What if 1960s Valentine Michael Smith, stranger in a strange land, returned today? What would be his observations based on his profile? Put that prompt in AI, and I think his new name would be Dylan Curious. Well, good job, Dylan, channeling Smith. Yeah, that court thing is a thing. I have a friend who does that for lawyers now. He started out in the wedding business doing receptions and bar mitzvahs, and then graduated to doing graphics for lawyers to use in trials. He's making a fortune. It's nice to know that the future of hula hooping is secure. 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 Valid mind, 260s Valentine Michael Smith, stranger in a strange land, returned today. What would be his observations based on his profile? Put the prompt in AI, and I think his new name would be Dylan.
All right, that's it. Taking AI one day at a time. See you in the next video.